Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because, wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fresh Take from What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Margaret.
And this is Amy. Today, we're talking to another Amy, Amy Larocca. She is an award-winning journalist who spent 20 years working at New York Magazine as both fashion director and editor-at-large. Amy's writing has appeared in the New York Times, Vogue, Town & Country, and the London Review of Books, among others. She lives with her family in New York and North London. Today, we'll be talking about her fascinating new book, How to Be Well, Navigating Our Self-Care Epidemic, One Dubious Cure at a Time. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
So let's set the table of what we're talking about. The wellness industry is worth $6.8 trillion.
Yeah, the last time I checked. But I do these interviews and I'm always like, God, should I check this morning? Because it gets bigger every single day.
What does that include?
That includes spas, the beauty industry that has largely rebranded itself as wellness, travel, destination wellness, like, going on a wellness vacation, gyms, boutique fitness classes. So it's a huge thing. And then I think probably, as you've noticed, there's nothing that won't slap wellness on its marketing.
Right.
Like checking account, like wellness checking account. It's just on everything. Like I've seen the word on everything.
I feel like wellness, tell me if this is right, used to be called the beauty industry.
Yeah.
I remember my sister wrote a piece when she was interning in college a long time ago. I won't say how long ago to not get in trouble with my sister. And it was all about kind of investigating like magazines and how the beauty industry was paying for the ads and then they were featured. And is that right? The beauty industry has become kind of the wellness industry?
That is one huge pillar of the wellness industry. It doesn't stop there, but yes, you are completely right to say that. It's one piece. I think when you look at beauty rebranded as wellness, I often feel that it's kind of beauty's way of saying like, we're modern and feminist.
Right.
It's wellness, it's not beauty. But when you start to sort of peel it back a little, it's just beauty.
Right. And weight loss and a lot of things that we're pretending we're not doing anymore, but we're definitely doing.
We are 1,000,000% doing.
Amy, I'm going to quote your book right here. You say women are forever being criticized and then sold solutions for the things that are supposedly wrong with us. And that this time is less different than we think. And you talked in particular about the weight loss that our moms might have done.
Oh, yeah.
The weighing themselves, the, checking the size of their waist, the Weight Watchers points. That all of that has just been repackaged into, no. It's not about being skinny. It's about being well.
Strong, healthy.
And healthy. But it's really about being skinny still.
It's always about being skinny. I think that's really something that we can just own. I'd like us to own that when people say, I want to be strong, I want to be healthy, really, when you start to peel it back a little for 2 seconds, it's about being thin. It's about looking young. Those are truly what we're being sold all the time. You need to be thinner. You need to be younger. And whatever words marketers think they need to come up with in order to obfuscate that, I think any savvy woman, any woman who's been around for a minute or two knows exactly what we're talking about here.
Right.
And then on the flip side, there's kind of this move, I feel like, to body positivity and acceptance of different, diversity of the way that women are allowed to look, but there's still moisturizer involved. Even in when we're showing this range of body types, it's still an advertisement somehow that you can look good at any size as long as your hair looks a certain way or you're properly moisturized.
And also, I think properly proportioned. And, I think there's less body diversity than you'd think. And actually, in the course of my reporting this book, the body diversity movement changed completely, I believe, because of the arrival of GLP-1 medications. So I feel, and I covered fashion for a really long time, and there'd be these like little dribs and drabs, like, oh, we're going to do body positivity, we're going to have diverse models. And it usually meant like two epically gorgeous women, like the most beautiful women you've ever seen, like with the most perfectly proportioned bodies, who were just like a little bit bigger, but were, as you say, still like very conventionally beautiful and, very, very well moisturized. And that was sort of what body positivity had traditionally meant in fashion, but it was actually kind of going a step beyond that when I first started working on the book. So if you were, say, shopping in a catalog, doing online shopping of like kind of catalog shopping, you might see the clothes modeled on a larger range of bodies. For example, certain brands were releasing a larger size range. All these things were starting to happen at the higher end, which was not what was previously considered sort of like the kiss of death for a higher end brand. You would never want anything over a size 10 with your label on it. But that was sort of beginning to change. And it was like when Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro came on the market, it was just like, wait, we can all be skinny? We can forget about like pretending we like all these different body types once that's available. So it really was, again, what we started talking about was like, we all know what you're saying. We all know it's to be thin. And that really emphasized for me that the arrival of the GLP-1 medications, I was like, oh, we're still doing it.
It's less choice, not more, right? In an era when you could be taking GLP-1 injections, why aren't you? If you're a size that I deem larger than it should be, well, why aren't you doing something about that?
It's another choice that you're choosing to not make.
Right. Let's talk about the health part of this. There's a huge pillar of the wellness industry that you talk about in the book, which is women going to TikTok or spas or things like that to deal with symptoms that aren't being taken seriously by mainstream medical culture, at least in the United States. A lot of chronic pain, a lot of mysterious syndromes that women tend to have more likely, and then that gets pulled into wellness as well. So there are a lot of people out there who are not just seeking to be skinnier, but are seeking to feel better. And what do they find in the wellness industry?
Well, that's another huge part of the wellness industry, another pillar, as it were. And I think if you look back at the history of medicine in this country and who is treated and who is taken seriously and who is heard, women don't fare so well. And historically, we're doing better. It's getting better. More OBGYN are women now. For example, it was only like not that long ago that the American Society of OBGYNs met at the Yale Club, a building to which women were not even allowed inside. So if you need to think about, well, how these are the people who are going to tell me how to manage all of my sort of hormonal changes, my menopause, my pregnancy, everything. They were meeting in a building that you couldn't even walk across the threshold of. Yeah. So now we have majority female OBGYNs in America. So it is getting better, but drug research, disease research, these things take years. And diseases and conditions that primarily affect women have historically been underfunded and under-researched. The biggest example is this large category called autoimmune disease, and it disproportionately affects women, and there's like no research on it. So I think when a lot of these sort of mysterious illnesses and ailments that women are having end up falling into this sort of unknown category of like autoimmune illness, that's very, 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 still very murky what medical understanding is of it. And so a lot of women say the wellness industry they don't like being told you went looking for alternative medicine. They're like, I would love some mainstream.
I was looking for what's called medicine, actually.
Like, hit me with the mainstream. I just like want to feel better. And this kind of ability to connect with other women who are having these experiences is actually incredibly helpful. And it's actually not alternative at all, because even with something like menopause, doctors are very undereducated about menopause and have historically been. So even sort of like seeking a kind of whisper network among other women to say, this is what I did and it helped me, this is what I can tell you about it, this is what I've experienced, is not really an alternative, but it's an enormous part of the wellness industry. So it's great. But then you get the people coming in and the vultures circling and being like, well, buy my potions and lotions. And, so it becomes dangerous and it becomes tricky because you become very vulnerable to the kind of snake oil salesman.
Right. But also in there somewhere, I have a friend who's dealing with pelvic floor issues after childbirth. Mm-hmm. They're going to a local, it's not a doctor is what it is. It's but it's providing a service that is extremely effective and helpful.
That's
because
great.
It takes a lot of time to fix your pelvic floor after having a baby. And you're not maybe going to go to a doctor's office 12 times. So you're going to end up with maybe an acupuncturist, maybe a physical therapist. But we actually need, as you said, solutions to these problems.
Yes.
And so it's not, we always say, this isn't happening because it's our fault. And it's not our fault. We're looking for these answers.
That's exactly right. And so I think there's a lot of women in that kind of wellness community who say like, oh, don't tell me I'm going to look for like kooky stuff. I just want to feel all right. And no one knows. No one is telling me. I'm going to my doctor. I'm pursuing the mainstream avenues and I'm not getting anywhere.
So sometimes like the mainstream avenues themselves for migraine, right? I have vitiligo, and the woman is told it's your stress. It's your...
That's right.
You need
very
to,
common.
Right, to change yourself. You need to change your lifestyle, and then your headaches will get better, or your IBS will get better. And so then you're sent to wellness because they're not giving you anything, but also, I have to fix myself. And then
That's right. And it's your responsibility.
Yeah.
And it is on you. And it's you failed in some way. And I think that's a lot of what I talk about. Is like there's this idea of these well women who are kind of wafting among us who have like,
figured
done
it out.
Everything right. And you're like, okay, I'm just like trying to get through the day here.
Right.
Your
name is Gwyneth.
Help me out.
Amy, you describe the well woman so perfectly in the introduction to your book. We're going to take a break and come back and hear what the well woman is all about. We're talking to Amy Larocca, author of How to Be Well. Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH. All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that, taking them to swim lessons. I mean, the pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy, heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code FREE.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand. And it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING. Amy, your book starts with a description of the well woman. You know her when you see her, but can you tell us a little bit about that well woman from your introduction?
Yeah, so this is from the introduction to my book. Do you know a well woman? Odds are you do. She is everywhere with her clean, clear skin, sipping from a non-toxic container full of an expensive, mysterious broth. She is the friend who is not religious, but is spiritual. She swears by her transcendental meditation practice. She swears by a lot of things, like a very specific whisk for her matcha that she sourced from a very specific, ethical, artisanal website. She is educated, but not rigid in thought. She is a seeker, and she is unashamed of her frailties because she is so actively engaged in finding unique solutions and cures. You might know her only virtually, but she shares enough about herself for you to understand that she is simultaneously ambitious and content, that her boundaries and orgasms and poop are all firm and beautifully formed. She has so much advice on how you might be more like her, with her working definition of tincture and her pretty pill case full of pretty pills. She is beautiful, tranquil, fertile, productive. She is pure of intention, heavy metals, food dyes, and dread. So I think we all know this woman.
I loved that introduction. Yes, I do. And I'm so full of problems and solutions. And I have come down from the mountain to help
them with
you be more like me. And why does that appeal to us? I mean, I'm totally, yes, I follow these people.
God. I am like, tell me, beautiful ladies. I think it appeals to us because there's always this idea. I mean, there's a million reasons it appeals to us, but this is something I've really started to think a lot about working on this book, that as women, we're always sort of like given this idea that there's like a secret. You need to buy it.
Literally, and sometimes in a book form called The Secret.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And somebody knows this secret and we just have to pay for it. Like we just have to know where to go and have a lot of money to pay for it, and then we might be let in on it. And I think that this kind of idea of the well woman, I think it's very much like how Goop thrives, is that there are these people who have it figured out and they're going to tell us. And I sometimes think about wellness as you're sort of like buying your body back for yourself, you know, like I don't know what this is. I don't know how this works. I need people who know better and have succeeded in managing theirs better to sell it to me.
You say in the book, and I'll quote it, I think of wellness as the project of buying your own body back for yourself, a world in which the branded luxury version of you is available for sale. And I think there's this also as is the beauty industry, it's very intertwined with like class and money and whiteness and
definitely
this kind of ideal. Whereas I think that in some ways we don't think of ourselves as engaging in like class in the same way that used to happen in, what's the show that just came back, The Gilded Age or something. Yeah. But that this really is a thing of like Gwyneth Paltrow, who I don't know, and maybe a lovely person, and is probably, down line from all of the things that came before. But she really is a very marked archetype of East Coast moneyed white lady. And that is very wrapped up in this idea that we can achieve this thing.
Yeah. Oh, very much so. And I think that's exactly right. Class is a huge part of it. And actually, I started writing the book before COVID, and then I sort of tore up everything I'd written because I was so aware after COVID how sort of not silly and actually kind of dangerous it is that we're treating our health with such sort of flippant class behavior. If you think about the words that we're using to describe doctors, like boutique and concierge, and people have no time with their GPs, and so they start to trust these people they know online. Or, think they know online. No. And so these weird stand-ins become medical authorities. And then when the data started coming in about who was getting sick and who was dying during COVID, it was like, how are we tolerating this medical situation? It's like so clear that we have very, very, very strong class divisions when it comes to health in this country. I mean, we probably weren't using the word comorbidity with frequency before COVID, but I think we all came to understand that having a comorbidity more often than not meant that you were poor. Right. And that was crazy to me, writing about wellness. It meant you were poor. It meant you were not white. And then, people will say like, oh, I don't know, should I do yoga or Pilates? And it's like, look, if you're making that choice, like you're home run, you're good. Like you're totally fine. That's all icing.
We often say that to parents on the podcast. If you're listening, you're already doing a pretty good job. You're seeking out parenting advice. You're way ahead of the game.
Yeah, you're good. Home run.
What was it about COVID in particular that sort of horseshoed woo-woo hippie, drink more matcha to reject everything that scientists and doctors are telling us about COVID? How did that come together? You talk about it a little bit in your book.
Well, I think that it was a kind of perfect storm of things. I think we saw how kind of spotty the medical establishment is in the country. And one of the things that I find really weird is one of the things no one really talks about is how amazing and quickly the vaccine was developed and implemented, right? Like, yay for science. But we're sort of not hearing that, right? We're hearing all this fear. We should actually be like, oh my God, science is amazing. This thing happened. It shut down the world. A vaccine was developed. A vaccine was deployed, and we got back to business. Like, it's great, right? Like, who knows about the timing, and could it be better next time? But it worked, right?
Right.
But instead, we've got this like bananas. Oh, the vaccine's going to give you this. The vaccine's going to give you that. It's echoing into all these other medical conversations and treatments. And I think it's weirdly like a weird place where the left and the right meet.
They meet around the backside. I say that all the time. And I think that downstream from what you were saying, which is my doctor isn't helping me, so Gwyneth Paltrow is going to tell me how to be well, that the more that happens, that expertise becomes so diffused. And that we're seeing that now, that people are trusting, Robert F. Kennedy more than people who doesn't.
And I mean, look, he's the HHS secretary. Like, I mean, he is the person who gives like the, sort of national medical advice.
Right. But also it's important to underline that he is not a doctor. I mean,
a scientist, a doctor. He has no medical history. Like,
getting
medical
information from pretty much anybody has become much more accepted than
totally accepted.
That your doctor is some sort of authority has just become kind of like, or the person online.
The notion that like if you are a sort of responsible person, you're questioning authority. Yeah. That to be a kind of person who's looking out for yourself and your family, you're not just taking it lying down, you're questioning it. And I think that that's a really crucial part. And especially, like, this is a podcast about motherhood. Like, the medical decisions in a family usually are made by the mother, like where the children are concerned, right? Like that's usually the responsibility of the mother. And these decisions, it's like, there's a whole thing, like when my kids were born, I had a lot of friends who were like, oh, well, I'm going to vaccinate, but I'm vaccinating on this alternative schedule.
Right.
And it was sort of like it gave them the sense that they were kind of active participants. They weren't just, they were like these kind of super moms who were more engaged in the welfare of their children because they had, and I'm like, I'm going to go with medical science and my super smart doctor rather than this one hippie magazine that they hand out at the health food store on Remsen Street. But, okay.
And just to speak for the people on the maybe other side of it, people have had bad experiences with doctors. Doctors don't always listen to women. Doctors don't always listen to the concerns.
And I think some of the populations who are vaccine skeptical. You look at like the Tuskegee, the smallpox vaccination scandal that happened.
Right. This is not happening in a vacuum. Yeah.
Yeah. Like there are reasons. There are reasons. Unfortunately, the sort of valid reasons get conflated with like very silly reasons. Like, I don't know how many times the whole sort of community of doctors and scientists can say there is no link between vaccines and autism, but it's clung to. So there are legitimate reasons, and they are sort of balled up with crazy reasons, and it becomes very hard. And I think the reason it's sort of where the left and the right meet, I think, is because it's like everyone is scared. Everyone is frightened. Everyone is like the outside world has gone mad. And it is my job and my duty to protect myself and my family. And I think that comes from both sides of the political spectrum. And it kind of, in the case of health, manifests. The packaging is different, but the fear is very consistent.
Let's talk about the idea of getting back to yourself, which you really opened my eyes on that in this book, that you're going to get back to feeling like yourself if you use this wonderful potion or do this exercise program 90 minutes a day. Getting back to yourself is a crucial part of wellness, as if you're not already yourself. So tell us about that.
Well, I started thinking a lot, like I would listen to all these wellness podcasts when I was researching the book, and not even researching the book, just sort of like in my life, or I would be sort of exposed to, magazines or anything else. And it was like this consistent message, get back to yourself, get back to yourself. And it really, of course, always focuses around these like very important seismic changes in a woman's life. Having a baby, going through menopause, don't worry, we're going to get you back to yourself. And I suddenly just like one day I was like walking down the street and I was like, well, which self are we trying to get back to? Because we change all the time. And I don't know what I'm trying to get back to. And I remember thinking after I had kids, like, well, I can't. That's a lot of things have happened, like down here and in here, and that I can't go back there. That's gone. And I really came to kind of resent this idea that I had to endlessly be like clawing back, because obviously you're never going to get there. And there was so little celebration of the new version of you. It was always like, how are you going to get back? How are you going to get back? You've gone through menopause. How are we going to return you to your premenopausal self?
Right. Or you never had a baby self. Get back to your bikini body like you never had a baby.
Get back to, and even emotionally, right? Like, you're going to be the same person you were. Don't worry. Don't worry. And yeah, your body is going to be, and it's like, I had this, it's kind of a controversial moment, but I ended up at the US Open, and it really crystallized for me the year that Serena Williams first lost to Naomi Osaka. And she just had a baby, and she'd had really, really, really difficult childbirth. She had blood clots. She was in her 30s at that point. She's still the greatest athlete in the world, but she was losing to this 18-year-old. And this 18-year-old was like bouncing. She looked like just fresh. And she's an amazing tennis player. And it was like you could sort of feel the crowd's collective urge for Serena Williams to have not been changed by childbirth. And I just wanted to be like, it's okay. You're still the best. You're still the GOAT. But, you've been through some stuff, and I don't want to watch you play tennis against an 18-year-old, because when you lose, it's like this version of you is inferior.
Right.
And it's not.
Right.
Or maybe it's okay to watch and she loses, because that's the reality of being
in your 30s. It was like less than a year since this incredibly difficult pregnancy that she'd been very public about, which I thought was wonderful that she, really talked about, that even, someone of her status can have their kind of health concerns dismissed by her doctors, which I think is something that she'd really experienced. But then I was like, even if you're Serena Williams, like, greatest athlete of all time. You might not be able to beat an 18-year-old, but we've got this, like, the only sort of version of success is to be able to claw back your old self. And anything that says you're going to get you back to your old self makes me like bananas. I'm like, let's celebrate the
How
new
about let's
self.
not? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's be like, who are we now? How great.
Well, sounds good.
I don't think it would pass muster at like any big ad agency, but you know,
definitely
not
not
my job.
We are talking to Amy Larocca, the author of How to Be Well, Navigating Our Self-Care Epidemic, One Dubious Cure at a Time. And we'll be right back.
My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today and let us surprise you.
So I just came back from 2 weeks vacation at very different places. Mm-hmm. And I tend to, when I go to a place, I am very unself-motivated. So I like to find the little gym in town and find somewhere to work out for a week.
Motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I am not, like, I would never work out at all. I have to go to a class. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm motivated to work out, but I am not motivated enough to be like, I'll just jog. First of all, I don't jog anymore. Second of all. And I went first week in a kind of a small town, and I went to a spinning class, which is the exercise that I prefer. And it was extremely challenging, but like extremely reasonable. The next week, I went to a kind of fancier shore town, and I went to the local spinning class. And this class, it was appropriate for like Lance Armstrong level biker. Like, I was really laughing. I'm also, middle-aged. The whole front row was the bikini wearing super fit people. God bless them. But it just made me laugh that we're in this like weird workout fitness arms race where these classes are insane. They're just not meant for human beings at some point. And there's always the front row with like 6 people could definitely do it. But I mean, these people were moving their legs at a rhythm that I was nowhere close to. And then they were doing these dances with their arms, but you could only do them if you could get your legs to go the right rhythm.
Oh my God,
and I was
horrifying.
Like, guys, we are in an arms race here. Like, this is insane. Oh, yeah. What are we doing?
Yeah.
I think I know what fitness studio you went to.
It was actually,
I'm guessing.
It was not the one you're thinking of, but it was in that very style.
All right.
Yeah, the sort of boutique fitness arms race is amazing to watch. And it's amazing to me also how like sort of much of a spiritual experience it's become for a lot of people, and how it's
SoulCycle, right? I mean, it's right in there in the name.
Yeah, they're not hiding it. And, one of the things I really look at in the book is that we all know that Americans, like since the end of World War II, the number of Americans who are participating in organized religions just down. But we also know that the longing for community, for ritual, to admire a charismatic leader, to be told sort of a positive message, those are human traits that don't go away when you stop going to church or temple or to your mosque or whatever else it is. So weirdly, these fitness studios have kind of like moved into that space.
So interesting.
Just so strange. And I think, I'm turning 50 this year. And when I first started joining gyms in my working life, the message was like, oh, you got to lose weight. You got to get the muffin top or the whatever it was, right? Like the bikini body.
Get that beach body. Yeah.
Yeah. Like these words are never spoken in any of the classes I go to. It's all like, how do you feel? How are we going to show up for each other? How are we going to? It's a much more spiritual language. And the kind of groups of people who go to these different classes really identify with them. And often on social media, will refer to them as worship or Sunday service, or it's less hidden than you would think. It's less subtle. It's very, very, very clear and recognized. And in fact, there are these two really interesting graduate students at the Harvard School of Divinity who wrote this really interesting paper, and there were 6 organizations they looked at that were replicating the kind of organized religion model in modern urban life. And one of them was SoulCycle and one of them was CrossFit. And at first, SoulCycle was a little like, I don't know if we really want to publicize this. Like, we don't know how people are going to react if we are too overt. But then by the time SoulCycle went public, they used it in their marketing materials. So they were really proud of this and proud of the role and very accepting of the role that the idea that fitness can play a kind of spiritual role in people's lives.
And it brings a lot to a lot of people, right? A lot of meaning, connection, friendship.
A lot of connection.
The hard thing about wellness is there's no end point. You're never going to get over the rainbow. You're never going to get back to who you were, and you're never going to get over the rainbow the other way to well. You never be like, I did it. I became well today. Now I'm going to...
All done.
Going to sit down. Right. Like the
time for Netflix and chill. I'm well.
Right. It's ceaseless and it's never ending. And as you point out in the book, there's kind of no point at which you say, I think like I'm fine. I'm kind of happy the way I am. Is there room for that in the wellness industry?
Is. I mean, but I don't think there is in America, right? Like we're always kind of chasing and chasing and chasing. And I think, isn't that late stage capitalism? There's always something else to buy or, I mean, I remember being with my grandmother when she was like in her late 80s and she didn't die till she was 98 and she didn't, do Pilates or anything like that. But she was like, oh, I can't have the ice cream. I'm watching my weight. And I just remember being like, oh my God.
That's a bummer.
What a bummer. Like it never is going to end. And, that's like, isn't there at some point you're just like, woo, I made it this far. But I think for women, these messages are we're just bombarded with them for our whole lives and you don't really let go of them.
Yeah, I think we did an episode a while back called Let's Not Care What We Weigh. And it's like, can we actually stop doing this? Let's not care about aging.
Well, what'd you guys decide?
I think that did Weight Watchers, did all the things. I'm the heaviest I've ever been in my entire life right now. And I really do think I don't care anymore what I weigh. I'm not that interested in it. I mean,
so you've crossed over. You did it.
I'm not well, but I have gotten to the point of like, and when people talk to me about diet or anything, I often try to reflect back, like, what does it look like if you never weigh anything different or all you do is gain 10 pounds a year for the rest of your life? Because in my experience, that's 90% of women. So what does it look like if you actually let go of this thing? Because also, I mean, definitely when I was young, oh my gosh, if I was having a date, it was like, what makes me look the thinnest? Thin is so important. And I'm also married and my husband genuinely doesn't care what I weigh. I don't think, I mean, I don't think he's that interested in it. And I think I've come a long way on the journey and I would love for more people to kind of say like, you're going to chase this crazy, you're the horse chasing the rabbit. Like it's always going to be 10 feet ahead of you. Right. And is there a way to work collectively? I think it has to come from women basically, because I don't think men care. When I was a cater waiter in LA, I remember one of the first jobs I had was at this extremely, billionaire's house and walking around and all the women had this very kind of, to me, deranged looking plastic surgery, but they all looked exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I thought just walking in as like not from LA and I was like, this is the Twilight Zone where like everyone looks the same. but they look very strange. But I don't think it's the men driving it. It's the women driving each other. So like, is there a way for us to collectively say, let's stop doing this?
Guys, let's just all together.
Let's
one, two,
stop.
three.
Guys, let's stop doing this.
Well, I think for me, it really came down to having daughters and being like, oh God, we got to do better. I can't. It's so in the way that you sometimes will think for your kids, you can sort of tolerate it for you and be like, okay, this is what it's like. But I suddenly was like, oh my God, are these perfect humans that I love so much going to be dieting, feeling bad about themselves, feeling less than? And it just was an unbearable thought to me that we're going to just pass down this legacy of the chasing that you were describing when we should just know better.
Right.
And that was kind of what really crystallized this idea for me, like, oh, we're going to do it to another generation. And everyone I know feels the way you do. Like, can we not? Is there some way not to? But the forces are pretty big and the forces are pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And, you know, especially now that it's called wellness, you know, especially now that it's called something that's supposed to be good for you.
Right.
But it's like, you know, how are we going to kind of release our daughters from this cycle? I mean, guys, I think it's too late for us. Sorry.
I was going to ask, that was going to be my last question to you, is how has your own relationship to wellness changed? Because you are like the hair club for men. Like you're a client. You were somebody who goes to SoulCycle, who uses the potions. I mean, so much.
Totally.
We all are.
I am also
I'm also a customer. Yeah.
So has it changed?
1,000%. I think, if anything, I'm probably more minimalist. Like, I think I'm much more aware of how important the dull stuff is and how ineffectual the other stuff is. So your sleep, your exercise, your nutrition, I'm like, oh, that really does matter. And that really does make a difference. And the like, did I take a supplement today? Like, that really doesn't matter. So I'm definitely very conscious of how the kind of bedrock aspects of health are very important. And I'm very conscious of how the little kind of like stuff you get sold, you'll be done with it in 6 months. And so, yeah, exercise, you got to do it. Sleep, you got to do it. Healthy food, you got to do it. But the rest of it, I don't know if you're going to have fun, if you're going to enjoy it, if it's not going to like ruin you economically, if it's a form of entertainment that you can say that you genuinely enjoy and doesn't make you feel terrible, like, sure. But those are not the things that are going to make you well.
Yeah. And I think having these conversations, especially in front of our daughters, I'm constantly harping on like, you can go to Sephora if you've got some spare money and buy whatever lotions and potions you want. Although I did say you have to ask if it has acid because like stop burning your face off. You're 12.
We refilled all the Drunk Elephant containers with Cetaphil and
there
CeraVe.
You go.
And they are
I
totally
love it.
Satisfied. They're totally like, they just want
as
that
long
beautiful
as you have
arrangement. And then they know it better for their skin.
But I think giving voice to it, like you can do it if it feels good, but it's not real. It doesn't work. That's not true. You just need sunscreen. That's what you need. That's your beauty product at 15. And I think that reading this book and understanding what's really going on and then talking to our daughters and each other about it is probably the best that we can do.
I think you're right. And I think we're so conscious of not mentioning dieting or weight or anything else, but it seeps in. Your teenage daughters will come home and say how many calories are in this, or, you know, it gets in there. So I think it is really important for our generation to say to our daughter's generation, like, they're going to try and tell you it matters way more than it does.
We've been talking to Amy Larocca. Her book is called How to Be Well, Navigating Our Self-Care Epidemic One Dubious Cure at a Time. We'll put the link to buy the book in the show notes for this episode, or you can buy it wherever you buy books. Amy, tell our listeners where else they can find you.
I have a website. It's just my name, Amy Larocca, and I am on Instagram at Amy Larocca Author.
Okay, we'll link to both of those in the show notes as well. Amy, I loved this book. It's funny. It is eye-opening. It is really well-researched. It's all the things. Thanks for talking to us today.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you, Amy.
You can't reason with the sun. Trust us, we've tried. This summer, it's time to put that angry ball of fire on mute. Columbia's Omni-Shade technology is engineered to protect you from the sun's harsh rays that can burn and damage your skin. The sun is relentless, but so is our gear. Level up your summer at Columbia.com to spend more time outside and less time slathering on aloe lotion. You're welcome. Columbia, engineered for whatever.